Today's video, an advice video. And I guess as the title of this video and the thumbnail sort of alludes to, focus less on the dollars and more on the quality of what you're investing in. And let me elaborate on that statement a little bit. What I mean by that is there's too many people that come into this hobby and they exit as quickly as they come. And the funny thing is, if you actually look at the data on this and the research and the numbers, and look, a fair bit of it's probably anecdotal, but if you actually look at it, most people that have re-entered the hobby during COVID times and after COVID last for about 6 months. And you know why they leave? Because they focus too much on making quick money. If you're all about that, this hobby probably isn't for you. And look, there aren't people, that's not to say that people don't make quick money out of this hobby, because people certainly do. There's plenty of people that cash in on this hobby and make a quick 5 grand or 10 grand or 15 grand, or in some cases maybe even 50 grand if they've got enough money to play with. And then they exit as quickly as they come when they realize it starts getting a little bit harder. My advice to the true investors or the true stayers or the true collectors of the game is focus less on the dollars and more on the quality of the set. And that's what I mean by that. People are exiting way too soon because it gets a little bit hard, or they're focusing way too quickly on short-term gains. So before we elaborate on that more, I'm going to give you some examples of what I mean by that, and then also some tips for what to invest in the future. Before we do that though, quick shout out to today's video sponsor, which is of course the Collectr app. You can find me down the bottom of the Collectr app in the content creators section if you want to follow my collection and my journey. But the big part about the Collectr app is it is so easy to use. You can put in your whole sealed and singles collection. There's a new set analytics tab which will show you total set value, which is really, really important for me as an investor to know the set value. It also shows you the market movers from each set, and also it'll show you the hottest sales from that set, so the most popular cards. It's such a good feature that's been added to an already awesome app. There's of course a pro version with awesome giveaways, so link in the description to the Collectr app. Right, back on topic. Focus less on the dollars and more about quality. So stop worrying about quick gains in this and really invest in great sets. And look, that's another question to unpack in itself. You know, what is a great Pokemon card set? Well, typically a great Pokemon card set will have some really nice hits, won't it? Like, it's really as simple as that. And what makes a nice hit? Well, generally it's a fan favorite Pokemon with some nice artwork, which commands good dollars with the right pull rate, and perhaps it's tough to gem mint and has a grading play attached to it as well. There's so much to unpack in that question as well about what makes a great set, but predominantly that's what we're looking for, aren't we? You know, whether it's the top 5 hits presenting as really strong PSA 10 opportunities, whether it's the total set value, maybe it's a really, really deep set. Maybe it doesn't have a $600 raw chase card as a top hit, but it's a really, really deep set. Now, let me give you a few examples of this. And to expand on that whole thing, stop focusing on short-term gains and more on long-term with a quality set. Here's 2 examples, right? So when Crown Zenith come out, there was no illusion that it wasn't a quality Pokemon card set. It's a fantastic Pokemon card set. If I were to rate it out of 10, I would probably rate it 9 out of 10. Like, it's got so much depth, so many chase cards. It's the final English set that comes with yellow borders, which is a significant moment in the Pokemon TCG across time. The only thing perhaps stopping it from being a 10 out of 10 is maybe a touch more of a tiered pull rate with maybe some ultra rares that are just a touch harder to get. And now look, that is me really picking at it. But if it had like a $500 or a $600 raw chase card, you know, something like a Gengar VMAX from Fusion Strike, for argument's sake, that commands, you know, a very strong raw price, that would just make it a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. It's so close to being one of the most phenomenal Pokemon card sets ever made, but it's just missing that really, really expensive raw and really, really expensive PSA 10 Pokemon card. Like, it's missing that Umbreon VMAX, isn't it? If it had that, it would be absolutely shooting the lights out, which it's already doing. But my point here is, when Crown Zenith come out, Elite Trainer boxes were relatively cheap for a long period of time. You probably noticed it in the US as well, but we certainly noticed it down here in Australia. I'm sure other parts of the world that are watching, you might have noticed it as well. It come out in multiple ways. Generally, they were readily accessible compared to, say, something like a Prismatic Evolutions Elite Trainer box at the moment. They are very, very difficult to get. So with that in mind, Crown Zenith being at a relatively low price, if we look at the data up here on the screen, not only how good the set is, but it also shows us across its period of time how long it stayed at a relatively low price. Like it's sat at that $50 mark, roughly US dollars that is, for a long period of time, like 2+ years, 2.5+ years. And then all of a sudden, what do we see? With enough time in the market, it starts absolutely exploding in price. And I can tell you from here on in, Crown Zenith is not going to get any cheaper. Perhaps it does what I talk about quite regularly, where once a Pokemon card set sealed product takes a relatively steep jump, it can generally level out for a period of time, or that growth slows for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months before it takes its next big jump. And the next example I'm going to show you is one that's done just that. But with Crown Zenith in mind, what it shows us is if people jumped into that set expecting to make quick dollars really, really quickly, they would have jumped out of it just as quickly as they moved into it. Like maybe, this is just a hypothetical scenario, but maybe someone was looking at getting into Pokemon card investing and, Scarlet and Violet base has just been released and perhaps they've got like $10,000 spare and they're thinking they can make a quick 10 grand in 6 or 9 months and they invest it straight into Crown Zenith because they go, oh, wow, this is such a phenomenal Pokemon card set and, it's the last English set with yellow borders. It's going to double in price so quickly. And they dump $10,000, hypothetical scenario, dump $10,000 into Elite Trainer boxes. They've just bought case after case after case of it. And then they've sat on them for 6 months and they've gone, oh, another wave's just come out. These haven't moved. Then they wait another 3 months. Still haven't moved. Oh, well, I suppose it's time to sell it and put my money somewhere else. If they'd held them till now, look at the gains they're starting to get. So focus less on short-term dollars and more on the quality of a Pokemon card set. And another slightly older example of that is Hidden Fates that we see up on the screen here. This is another phenomenal Pokemon card set. Again, it's probably a 9 out of 10 for me. It has that big chase card that Crown Zenith doesn't have in the Charizard GX Secret Rare. But it doesn't have the nice artwork that Crown Zenith has. Okay, the Shiny Vault's phenomenal. It's got heaps of good Pokemon cards in there and they're all worth lots of money. It's got that tiered effect with the Charizard being worth absolutely heaps and the graded play on top of that, a PSA 10 Shiny Charizard from Hidden Fates is worth a lot. But it's like, where's the nice artwork? Where's the alternate artwork style that we see in Crown Zenith? So that's why I probably put them on par. Hidden Fates has got that big hit, which maybe Crown Zenith is lacking a touch, but the artwork in Crown Zenith is amazing. And now on this, same thing. Hidden Fates sat at like $80 US in Elite Trainer Box for a long time. Then all of a sudden it spiked up to $150, and same thing, it sat at $150 for a long period of time. And same thing, if you'd bought in at $150 in Elite Trainer Box because you thought this is such a phenomenal set, it's not being printed again, and then you're waiting, and nothing happens in a 6, 9, 12-month period, so you sell out. And I know people that have done this. If you wait till now though, it's nearly a $400 Elite Trainer Box. All of a sudden it's taken another jump up, exactly like I said, with that curve up. So bang, up, stay steady for 12 months, 18 months, bang, straight back up again. And there you go, like there's two examples that if you weren't patient enough because you're focusing too much on short-term gains, you wouldn't have recognized that they are really quality Pokemon card sets that will go up in the future. And that's exactly what's happened. Now, when we transfer that knowledge to Scarlet and Violet and we go, okay, that's all well and good to talk about the past, Michael, but what about the future? Where to now? Well, same thing. Think about it. Like it's a very simple equation. What are some quality Pokemon card sets from Scarlet and Violet era that if you can pick them up at retail or close to retail, they should be damn good investments? And in my opinion, there's plenty of them. It doesn't take much. Does it have, back to what makes a good Pokemon card set? Does it have good hits inside the set? Is there some depth to it? Is there a big, strong chase card that's particularly worth a lot in a PSA 10? Are they fan favorite Pokemon? And the one that stands out to me straight away is probably Prismatic Evolutions. Like, what a great Pokemon card set. The pull rates are tough in it. It's got a very strong total set value. We know that the PSA 10s of the chase cards are worth lots of money. We know that the chase cards raw are worth lots of money. Moreover than that, there's also so much depth inside Prismatic Evolutions. We've got Master Balls inside there as reverse hollows. We've got Pokeballs as reverse hollows. Like, the list just goes on for the amount of fun you can have opening this set. And look, I know pull rates are rough and fun's probably not the right word to use opening it, but there's so much chance to pull cards from this set. It's a very strong Pokemon card set. If you're expecting quick gains from it now, same thing. You could burn yourself out of the hobby and jump out as quickly as you came into it and not recognize the gains that this Pokemon card set will show you for the future. Could it be reprinted? Of course it could. Could it drop the price a little bit from now? Of course it could. It's just come out. Like, it's a very fresh Pokemon card set. When did it come out? Was it February or March? Or anyway, it hasn't been out for very long at all. Another one from Scarlet and Violet, Destined Rivals. The booster box for Destined Rivals. Like, it's got Giovanni and Mewtwo on the booster box. It's got Team Rocket on the booster box. That in itself, okay, could it have had some slightly better artwork and just not been top white for the top half? Of course it could have. But it's a throwback, nostalgic booster box to Team Rocket. Did it kick all of its goals, in my opinion, with the set list? No. Is it a bad Pokemon card set? No. It's a very, very strong Pokemon card set. And look, total set value will probably continue to decrease as more supply hits the market. You know, that Mewtwo is probably going to get a little bit cheaper. The other chase cards inside the set are going to get a little bit cheaper. But I don't think it matters. They'll probably rebound. Like, this set, once it's out of rotation, I think we'll see a lot of these cards pick back up in price, like we're seeing with a lot of the Sword and Shield cards after they went out of rotation. Either way, again, like, here's just two very quick examples from Scarlet and Violet era where you go, okay, if you're focusing on making quick dollars out of these sets, you're going to burn yourself out of the hobby. But when we think about the quality of these Pokemon card sets and what they bring to the market, they're both so good. Moreover than that, another one, 151. You can't hide from that nostalgia factor. It reminds me a little bit of Crown Zenith 151. Lots of illustration rares, a few special illustration rares, lots of depth to the set. Charizard's worth pretty good money, just like the Gold Giratina is from Crown Zenith. But it doesn't have that massive, massive chase card, that $500 or $600 raw chase card. But I don't think it matters. Like, it's going to be so strong. It's got so much depth and nostalgia to it that it'll be perfectly fine. There's just 3 examples from Scarlet and Violet where I'd say, if you're playing the long game, and the long game doesn't even have to be that long. Like, look at Hidden Fates. That set's, it took, 5 or 6 years for that to appreciate to the price, like $400 an Elite Trainer box. If you'd bought them at launch for $40, for argument's sake, which you could have, and now they're $400 US. You have 10x your money in 6 years. That is an insane amount of return. Imagine buying a stock for $40, holding it for 6 years, and it's worth $400. Okay, I get it. It's not as easy as clicking a button to sell, and there's fees attached to selling it and postage and whatnot. But even if you've 8x your money after all those fees and costs attached to selling it, or 8.5x your money, like, that's insane growth. So focus less on the dollars short term and more on the quality of the set that you're investing in, and enjoy it. I'm Michael, this is PokeOz. Catch everyone next time.